Knuckleball, today on Sunday Baseball. Once again, it's Sunday Baseball. Here's Indy and Larry. I always like the knuckleball. I'm not really certain why. Maybe it's because it's so weird or exclusive. It could also be because when I was a kid, I saw Joe Niekros throwing knuckleball after knuckleball back in Houston with the Astros. And Niekros' knucklers were so slow that you knew you had time for a hot dog and a Coke before the ball got to home plate, but you couldn't hit it, I couldn't hit it, nobody could hit it, and people would actually fall down swinging at Niekros knuckleballs, and you'd laugh and you'd think and you'd make jokes with your friends like, wow, the knuckleball's the coolest pitch ever. In fact, Bob Uecker, the famous comedian and catcher, once said, "The way to catch a knuckleball is to wait till it stops rolling and just pick it up."
That's kind of nice.
It is kind of nice. So here's a brief history of the knuckleball. The first star knuckleballer and possible inventor of the pitch was Eddie Cicotte, who got the nickname Knuckles all the way back in 1908. Now Cicotte would throw the ball actually holding the ball with his knuckles, hence the name knuckleballer. But it's far more common to throw the ball holding it with your fingertips. But with either grip, it's still a knuckleball. And the thing about knuckleballs is when you throw it with either grip, you're actually negating the natural spin of it. So the ball comes to the batter with no spin and it floats and dances, drops, or just does crazy stuff. Knuckleballs are incredibly hard to hit.
And also very hard to catch.
Indeed. Cicotte had some limited success with Boston using his dry spitter, as his knuckleball was called, but it wasn't until he became a White Sox in his 30s that he really achieved stardom and success, going 28-12 with a 1.53 ERA in 1917 and topping that by going 29-7 for the 1919 White Sox, who soon became the Black Sox when they threw the 1919 World Series, and Eddie Cicotte was banned from baseball for life for his part in the fix.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Eddie.
Eddie who?
Är det inte konstigt att han gjorde så?
That was actual Swedish, right?
Was it?
I think so.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Cicotte.
Cicotte who?
Cicotte, traveling Sweden, you can learn Swedish too.
Oh. The next two knuckleball stars were Eddie Rommel and Ted Lyons. Now Ted Lyons especially was cool because he was the first knuckleballer to be voted into the Hall of Fame. Lyons pitched 21 years in the big leagues, all of them for the White Sox, and he won 260 games for what was mostly a second division team. He's nicknamed Sunday Teddy today because the White Sox did something very smart. The White Sox would use the 41-year-old Lyons as an audience drawing card because he was such a Chicago institution. So they would pitch him every Sunday and only on Sundays. And in 1942, the 41-year-old Lyons started 20 games, completed 20 games, won 14, lost 6, and led the league in ERA with a 2.10 ERA. Now here's the thing. The last 28 games that Ted Lyons pitched in the major leagues were all complete games and were all on Sundays.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Teddy.
Teddy who?
Today's something like that, you gotta get up early on Sundays.
Okay.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Lions.
Lions who?
Lions, sleeping in bed is not an option.
No, that was good. During World War II, the Washington Senators had one of the most unique and most weird pitching staff ever when they had 4 knuckleballers as their starting pitchers, with Roger Wolf, Itsy Bitsy Hafner, Dutch Leonard, and Johnny Niggling.
Go back to Itsy Bitsy Hafner. Thanks.
My personal favorite knuckleballer of all was Hoyt Wilhelm, who broke into the major leagues in 1952 at the age of 29 and was still pitching 20 years later. Now, Wilhelm is a remarkable case. He was a relief pitcher, but the only 2 times that he had enough innings pitched to qualify for the ERA title, he led the league in ERA. But Wilhelm did something more amazing than just about anyone else in history, and it's something I think deserves mention right here. In the early 60s, Hoyt Wilhelm had 5 straight seasons with an ERA below 2.0. Now, no starter, no reliever, no nobody except Hoyt Wilhelm has done that since World War I. What makes this even more remarkable is that Wilhelm did this in his 40s.
There's hope for us all.
In what way?
I was just being polite. Hoyt Wilhelm.
Thing is, when you throw knuckleballs, you throw with a lot less force, so there's a lot less wear and tear on your arm, so you can throw a lot longer and you can throw a lot more often. In the 70s, for example, Wilbur Wood put up 5 straight seasons starting 40 or more games using pretty much exclusively a knuckleball, joining Don Drysdale as the only pitcher since 1901 to have 5 seasons with more than 40 games started.
You know, baseball's been real good to me.
And in 1987, knuckleballer Charlie Huff became the last person to start 40 games in a season. The most celebrated knuckleballers over the past few decades have been the Niekros brothers, Phil and Joe, with Phil being the slightly more celebrated. Now, Hall of Famer Phil Niekros won 318 games in 24 years using his knuckleball. But his brother Joe Niekros won 221 games, and Joe Niekros came within an ace in 1979 of being the first knuckleballer to ever win a Cy Young Award. Now, knuckleballers are kind of a rare breed, and in the last 2 decades, there have only been 2 real knuckleballers of note. There's been Tim Wakefield, who baffled hitters mostly for Boston over 2 decades and won 200 games using his knuckleballer. But most recently, and more importantly, R.A. Dickey, who began experimenting with the knuckleball in his early 30s, and last year, at the age of 37, became the first knuckleballer ever to win the Cy Young Award.
Finally!
Finally is right, and perhaps this will inspire a new generation of pitchers to discover the strangest pitch of them all, the knuckleball. We'll see you next week with more Sunday Baseball. For more Sunday Baseball, like us on Facebook, and I'll post all kinds of cool and amazing stuff once or twice a week. Or more. It could happen every day. I'm crazy like that.